criteria is. When everyone trades trend lines, they're thinking entries are the way to go. Hi guys, welcome back to another trend line trading episode. Today we are going to go over how incredibly important exit criteria is. When everyone trades trend lines, they're thinking entries are the way to go. You're just trying to capture a break or retest, when in reality the exit is the most important concept. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about exit criteria. Now there are many different ways to exit a trendline trade, but some of the most common ones are using higher time frame trend lines or some areas of support and resistance. Today I'm going to show you guys examples of both of these scenarios. Okay, we are looking at platinum here. Right now we are presented with a break of a 3 touch point trend line. We've got 1 touch point, 2 touch point, 3 touch points here, and price just broke out. This is signifying a long position. We're going to hit the buy button here. Okay, so price moved in our favor, got all the way to this higher time frame trend line. This could have signified an exit. Close your profit, trade is over. Now there's yet another higher time frame downward trend line. This move could have also signified an exit here. So you've got multiple points, multiple higher time frame trend lines. And now here is our second scenario, or our second way to close these trades. Now, some traders use support and resistance to close trades, and this right here would have been a perfect example of that. The price broke our downward 3 touch point trend line and then moved all the way up to this area of resistance. You could have closed here at this 1078. So these are two examples. One is the higher time frame trend lines, and the other is areas of support and resistance. So it all comes down to just a matter of preference and your trading style. So these two methods are a natural place to close your trades. However, there is a method that I use personally alongside this that helps me capture better results. I'll explain that next. So the key to squeezing out every bit of profit is utilizing a trailing stop loss. Now let me draw you an example here. So you've got price moving. We've got a trending market here. Now, going over a similar scenario where we are presented with a break of a downward trend line. This is our entry here. We entered a long position right here. Our stop loss needs to go on the other side of this. So this is where we're willing to take our loss. As price moves in our favor, we're going to drag that stop loss to now here. Now we are at break even. As price continues to trend in your favor, now our stop loss is in profit and it continues to move more and more in your favor. You are adjusting that stop loss to then move from drawdown to break even, to in profit, to now capitalizing on more and more profit. So being able to trail your stop like this protects you from big reversals or big spikes in the market. So if you are capitalizing on profit and you get a giant move against you, you've just now made your worst case scenario in profit, or even before then, in profit here, or even before then, at break even. So you're just simply trying to protect your capital or protect yourself from these big movements. Now you might be wondering, how and where do I decide to trail my stop? And I have a system for that, and it is called a safety line. So what is a safety line? When I enter a trade, I always yet another 1, 2, 3 touch point trend line break. We know if I as an entry, we're thinking long positions here. But anytime I enter a trade, I always make sure I have an opposing trend line drawn. Now, how do I draw those? When drawing my opposing trend lines, I'm looking for the lowest point I see on the screen as my point A. And then I want the most recent touch point of that trend line without price intersecting as point B. Boom. So this is my point A, point B here. This right here is my safety line. So now that we have our opposing trend line drawn, let's place our trade. We're in a long position here. I'm going to drag my stop loss to the other side of my safety line. Now, as price moves aggressively in our favor, you're going to get these pullbacks, these dip downs, these higher lows. I want to capitalize on this movement here. Instead of allowing the price to come all the way down and give up this profit, I'm going to come in with a steeper trend line. When drawing steeper trend lines, you're always going to use your most previous touch point as your new point A, and then you're going to come in and capitalize on that same exact movement here. So we're going to use this most recent higher low here, or this most recent pullback or dip down for point B of our steeper trend line. Now I'm going to take my stop loss and drag it in profit. So now worst case scenario, this trade gets closed out in profit. As price progresses or moves in our favor, just like I showed you guys in the drawing before, price will ebb and flow. It will create new pullbacks, create higher lows. We want to drag this stop loss along our safety line here. So now there are one of two things that you can do as you trail your stop here. The first one is to make sure that you have an alert set on your trend line right here, which I'm just going to show the icon because it said, oops, you can't put an alert on replay mode. So you can either make sure that you have an alert on your trend line, or if you're actively watching your trade, you can monitor this movement. And if you see the price cross your safety line, you can manually close that trade out. So you can do one of the two options. You can drag that stop higher and higher as price progresses and creates higher lows, or you can manually close that trade out when price crosses your safety line. Price has just crossed our safety line. This is our indication to exit. This right here is my exit criteria. I can close this trade in profit and be done with it. So you don't have to just use one singular exit criteria here. You can use multiple methods. You can use a combination of these methods as confluence here. So the key here is to not just use one singular method. It is to be able to use all of them in confluence. Being able to use multiple methods in confluence to what the price is doing allows you to be more dynamic with your exit. Allows the price to tell you the best point of exit or the best method to use here. If it's getting close to your higher time frame, that's going to be an exit. If it's getting closer to your support and resistance before it gets to a higher time frame trend line, you would use that as your exit. So it's just